This is BS with Joe. News, culture, and crazy. One blunt conversation at a time.
They keep telling us our cars are killing the planet. Meanwhile, factories overseas pump out smoke, cows are belching methane, and China builds coal plants like they're going out of style. But somehow, the guilt always lands on you, standing there at the pump, filling up so you can get to work. And hey, don't get me wrong, I still want a Cybertruck in my driveway. But let's be honest, EVs aren't the silver bullet we're sold as.
Exactly. We're not here to guilt anybody. We're here to look at the facts because no vehicle is truly clean. Every option has a trade-off. It's just a matter of whether you want the pollution at the tailpipe, the power plant, or the mine.
Let's start with gas cars. Gasoline is cheap, easy, and reliable. But the reality is each gallon burned pumps about 20 pounds of carbon dioxide into the air and adds in nitrogen oxides, soot, and all the smog makers. And you're talking about asthma, heart disease, and the real health cost. That's the toll you don't see at the pump.
Right. And here's the kicker. When economists add up those hidden costs, every gallon of gas carries $2 to $5 in health and climate damage. So when you pay $3 a gallon, society is really paying 6 or 7. But, and this is a big but, gasoline is still the only option that millions of working people can afford. It's the lifeline.
Now, hybrids, they're the middle ground. You burn less gas, you get more miles, you don't need to plug it in. Emissions drop, but you still rely on the same fuel system that's already built out. For lots of folks, hybrids make way more sense than dropping 40 to 50 grand on an EV.
And then there's the EVs. Zero tailpipe emissions, that's the headline. But it doesn't mean zero impact.
No.
The electricity has to come from somewhere. In a lot of places, that's still coal or natural gas. Add the mining for lithium, cobalt, and nickel, and the front-end carbon cost of building an EV is actually higher than building a gasoline car.
Yeah, unless you keep an EV for years, and unless your power grid is actually clean, you may not even hit the break point on emissions.
And that's the point. There's no perfect solution. Gas, hybrid, EV, each one shifts the burden somewhere else. The problem is we're being sold EVs as the savior, when really it's a trade-off like everything else. So if no car is perfectly clean, let's dig into the real question. Why are EVs being pushed so hard as the one solution fits all?
First off, affordability. EV sticker prices are still sky high, even with government rebates. You're paying a premium. And if the battery goes bad, replacing it costs more than buying a decent used car.
And let's talk access. If you own a house with a garage, sure, EVs make sense. But if you're a renter or you live in an apartment, good luck. Landlords aren't racing to install chargers. And even the right to charge laws leave renters footing the bill. Then the landlord owns the charger. It's not exactly a fair deal.
Yeah, and the infrastructure isn't there yet. Fast chargers, half the time they're broken, or you're waiting 30 to 60 minutes to juice up. Meanwhile, I can fill my gas tank 5 minutes and drive across 3 states.
And the grid, let's not forget that. If EV adoption goes through the roof without major upgrades, the power grid is going to take a beating. Who pays for those upgrades? Ratepayers like you and me.
And here's the dirty little secret. EVs aren't spotless on the environment either. Mining the lithium, the cobalt, the nickel, it's messy. Toxic runoff, water use, even child labor in cobalt mines. We're just shifting the pollution from our tailpipes to somebody else's backyard.
And lifestyle. If you're a tradesman, a trucker, or somebody who drives 300 miles a day, an EV just isn't going to cut it. Range anxiety is real. For those folks, hybrids or efficient gasoline engines still make more sense.
That's the reality check. EVs are a tool, not the silver bullet. Therefore, everybody is dishonest. And it's just dumping the cost of green virtue on the working class.
By the way, while we're all arguing about cars, remember, cows are out there farting more methane than every human on Earth combined. We'll get into that in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's settle something. We keep hearing people say, yeah, but humans fart too. Aren't we part of the methane problem?
Yeah, if that were true, Taco Tuesday would be an environmental disaster.
Here's the truth. The average person produces about 1/4 of a liter of methane a day. Multiply that by 8 billion people, and it's basically one of the global methane emissions. It's not even on the chart.
So you're saying I can eat my burrito and keep my guilt free?
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. Humans don't even move the needle, but cows, that's a whole different story. A single cow produces 200 to 500 liters of methane a day, and there are 1.5 billion cows out there. That's why agriculture makes up around 14% of total greenhouse gases.
Yeah, but we need to feed the country. So cows outfart humans thousand to one. Makes sense why we're talking about livestock, not lunch.
Which brings us to the great fart off.
Case closed. It's cows, not crowds.
So here's the bigger question. If factories and agriculture are such big contributors, why is all the focus on personal cars?
One word, lobbying. Industry spends billions making sure politicians don't touch them. It's easier to point the finger at you, the driver, than it is to take on steel, cement, or big ag.
Exactly. Industry says don't regulate us hard or we'll crash the economy. Meanwhile, the hidden costs of pollution, hospital visits, lost production, climate disasters, those bills still get paid, just not by them.
And by trying to suggest a meat tax in the US is political suicide. Big ag lobbies make sure of it. And that's why the guilt gets pushed back onto you and your car.
So the story keeps circling back to your car, your straw, your burger. But the truth is, the biggest players in emissions, factories, industrial farms, energy production, they're the ones buying political silence.
So here's the takeaway. Your car matters, but it's not the villain. Gas, hybrids, EVs, they're all trade-offs. The real damage comes from industry and agriculture, but we've got the money to make sure that the spotlight never shines on them.
Exactly. So the next time somebody tries to shame you at the pump, remember, it's not about the tailpipe. It's about who really profits, who really pollutes, and who really pays the price.
I'm Brad.
I'm Joe, and this is BS with Joe.